Well, last year was his first year in the Friesen Performance IMCA Modifieds. Piloting the 15P from Oakley, California, Andrew Pearce was the Shaw Race Car's Western Region Rookie, as well as the 2023 California State Champion and Merced Speedway Champion. He's here to tell us about all the exciting things that are going to be taking place in 2024 and more, and also his big $3,000 payday at Southern Oregon Speedway at the R. Charles Snyder Salute. That's coming up next on the Beyond the Flags podcast. But before we get to the interview, make sure wherever you're listening or watching from, you hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes. Well, he's out of Oakley, California, and he's the reigning Shaw Race Cars Western Region Rookie of the Year, also the reigning state champion for the Golden State of California, and defending Merced Speedway track champion. That's a lot of reigning and a lot of trophies you picked up. Andrew Pearce. Andrew, great to have you on the Beyond the Flags podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I mean, just talking about that was a regional title, albeit a rookie title, a state championship, and then a track championship to go with it, with not a lot of experience in the Friesen Performance IMCA Modifieds. That's got to make you feel super proud and super accomplished, considering how hard it is just to win a track championship.
Yeah, no, we had quite the year last year. We traveled up and down California and had some pretty good finishes, some wins. You know, that's always good for your rookie year, and no matter what class, just to be able to go out and compete with the best and just, you know, have a good confidence and knowing your stuff's good, that you're prepared to go out there and do battle. And we were able to pick up some wins, like I said, and some top fives, and we were good enough to do the state and the regional and a track championship. So that was quite the crazy year, but it was a blast.
What was the hardest thing about the state championship? Was it racing on normally, like, racing consistently, like pretty much every week, where there would be, in a normal set of circumstances, you guys might race like 2 or 3 weeks and then maybe take a couple weeks off? Was that the biggest challenge for you guys?
You know, last year we were kind of on it every weekend. And, you know, you put the work in during the week, so you're doing it all week, then you're doing it all weekend. I mean, there was nights at home where in California you usually get a Saturday night out of it, but we were making Friday nights, Saturday nights, just random nights, as we were doing as much as we could pretty much. And I mean, we ran quite a bit of races. I think we ended up around 70 or so races, and that was just a real long year. But it was, it was really fun. I can't really express how much hard work we put into it and all that, but I mean, it was quite the year.
Well, and it's crazy to think about it, right? How big the state of California is. And Dylan Thornton kind of went into this on the Dirtcast podcast on IMCA TV. Just like, California's big, and the tracks, they're pretty spread out as well. I mean, you look at it, and the California-Oregon border is about halfway from Mexico to Canada. And you've got Wairika Speedway, which is like 20 miles into California via the north. And then down south by San Diego, you've got Verona Speedway Park, which runs modifieds. That's a long amount of distance to win a state championship, because you've got Central Valley populated, you've got the Bay Area where you guys are from populated, and then you've got, you know, some other places that guys can run too.
Yeah, no, like last year we were all the way down to Mojave Valley Speedway, and all the way up to Petaluma, and I probably was even farther north in California than that. Mm-hmm. I know Mojave's kind of right on the Arizona-California border, but we went everywhere. I mean, not even just California. We went to Kokopah Speedway. We went to Boone last year. We were all over the map. Oregon. It's a lot of racing, but it is quite fun. We really enjoy it.
Yeah, and Mojave Valley, not too far from Barstow, not very far from Vegas either. And then a place that you've been to already this season, Diamond Mountain Speedway in Susanville, which is like only, right about an hour, if that, from Reno.
Yeah, you got to get through Reno to get there. So, I mean, it's actually a really beautiful drive. Quite the scenery to get there, and a really nice track. And yeah, we enjoyed that a lot. And this week we'll be up to Wairika and Southern Oregon and maybe more. So we'll be back up north again.
And you guys got to go to a kind of a new track for you, it used to be called American Valley Speedway, Quincy Speedway now, in Quincy, California. But I think it rained out before you guys were able to really get going.
Yeah, we got there and the weather was looking kind of iffy. And right before we were about to go out for mud packing, they called it. But that place is quite the scenery for sure. And we were really excited to go there, but it ended up raining out, so that sucked. But I'm sure we'll make it back up there.
Sure, yeah, most definitely. That's a place I'd like to go to as well. I mean, you and we go back a bit. I think the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong here, really the first time I saw you kind of log some laps and everything would have been around 2020 or so, kind of the COVID year, no fans, spending a lot of time at Antioch Speedway. And, of course, knew your dad from coming up, racing Cottage Grove a little bit, and then your uncle Kellen coming up as well many times. Do I have my timeline correct there? Like about 2020 is when you first started getting into, it would have been Friesen Performance IMCA Northern Sport Mods at the time.
Yeah, no, I started in the COVID year, 2020. I think my first 15 races, there was no fans in the stands, so I didn't really get the full experience, but so that was quite different. Being a fan, and I was a fan in the stands, and then being out at the racetrack, and then there was no fans in the stands. So that was different for sure. But 2020 was when I started. We were only supposed to practice a little bit, but I ended up doing all right. So they sent me out there, and we've been going ever since.
Well, and if I recall correctly, that first race or that first time you rolled out to hot lap or to mud pack, that was your first time in a race car, like at a competitive level. Like you didn't go the go-kart route, or you didn't do the micro sprints, right?
Yeah, I never got to do the go-kart stuff. I always wanted to, and I still will to this day. If anybody's ever got an open ride, I'm always down to race. But yeah, I never got to go do any of those. It was just a lot of watching throughout my younger years of Kellen and Bobby Hogue, and there's a bunch of guys that, I mean, I wouldn't say I really studied because I was a younger kid, but just watching and stuff, you pick up things, and if you really pay attention, you can really pick up a lot of stuff off the veteran guys.
Sure. That's something that I've noticed a lot. I've announced so much play-by-play up in the tower, but in recent years, I've had to be boots on the ground, hang out with you guys in the infield, and like places where they pit in the middle, kind of, and it's a whole different thing. It's like you're seeing all sorts of different movements that you don't see from way up top.
Yeah, it's a whole nother atmosphere for sure. There's definitely a lot more going on. Like, honestly, I never would have imagined that I'd be where I am today with it. I never even thought I might not even get the chance, but
sure.
Just being a kid in the stands and watching and enjoying it, and then one day I got the opportunity and I took it and ran with it.
Well, your grandpa, Chadwick, promoter of Antioch Speedway, he raced. Obviously, Kellen Chadwick, your uncle, and your father, Brian, raced. For you, how did that come about with you getting in a race car? Was that you going to your parents, or was that them or the family coming to you? How did that whole ball get rolling?
I tried for years and years, honestly. I tried, and then my dad started slowing down with his racing a little bit and had the idea to get a sport mod, and he was going to race it for the 2020 year, and I was just going to practice. But I ended up going out and practicing and doing good, so he got kicked out the seat, and I took it over, and there was no hard feelings between that. He always says that he loves just watching and helping out and making the race cars go fast these days.
Well, and to keep in perspective of things here for listeners and viewers, this young man gets in a sport mod, and he's going up, and this is COVID year too, where in Antioch and Marysville, those were like the two tracks that raced consistently. I think it was Marysville like on Wednesday nights, Saturdays would be Antioch, and we're talking loaded A main events. Fred Ryland, former state champion there, the Kleiman's family running there, Tommy Frazier. And that's just the guys that race Antioch. There'd be some other guys come in, like Jeremy Hoff from Copperopolis, some guys from Wairika would come down, guys from the Central Valley, the Thomases. I mean, way to jump into the Dragon's Lair right off the bat.
Yeah, when I first started, it was everybody was just coming down to Antioch and, like you said, Marysville area, because those were the only places running. So we had B mains every night because, I mean, everybody just wanted to race, so everybody was there. So we had the best competition, and it was probably the best for me because I was able to learn quickly the pace and everything that I needed to be at. And like you said, all the guys that were there, Fred Ryland, I mean, he kicked my butt over and over and over again until I was able to get good enough, and I was able to start beating them guys.
Well, and then all of a sudden, Doug Lockwood got the idea to start, what's now the Central California Clash, and that was one of the first stops. So you had a loaded field of guys that were loaded for bear for that deal too.
Yeah, I think that was my first year they put that race or the week-long races out, and I did that, and we ran top tens and stuff, and it's always good to finish in the top 10 when you're a newer guy and you got the best competition all week. And then the year later for that California tour, I ended up picking up my biggest win of like that year at the Placerville Speedway during that tour.
I remember that was a wild one, right? That was it was a late pass for the win, right?
Yeah, there was kind of a late race restart where something happened. I can't really recall what exactly happened, but I know it was kind of a wild one at the end. But at that time, that was definitely my biggest one yet.
Yeah, I know that everything's, structured well where certain tracks run certain divisions, but it would be cool to see Placerville have more than just one sport mod race or, some more, like an IMCA-centric night or something. They've got the Tilford Tribute, and that happens generally like in the early part of the season, but it would be cool, like I know Placerville, it's a big sprint car track and it's earned that dignitary, but it would be cool to see them change it up for the whole night with IMCA one night out of the year.
Yeah, when we got to race there, it was really fun to get a modified around that racetrack, and I've been up there in a late model, the Extreme Late Model Series. I've been up there before with them. And it's just really fun racetrack, really nice place, just really unique, like the way that track is built and the way it's like in the mountain. It's quite the place for sure.
Most definitely. And you mentioned you guys went to Iowa last year. You guys went there the year before. You were still in the sport mod. I actually got to hang out with your grandpa at Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, and Jason Robles for waiting for our connection to go to Des Moines. But tell me about that trip, 2022 Super Nationals. I'm going to let you tell the story because that was some pretty incredible stuff for you going to Boone Speedway for Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's.
Yeah, that year it was the prelim night and everything. It went really well. I mean, you go into a race like that knowing you're just mostly going to have fun for that week and don't expect anything don't expect high expectations. Like, don't get in your head too much about it because it's just you have to be lucky and have to fall into your favor. And I think that night I ended up drawing a higher number actually for my heat race. And, that's when your hopes start going down. You're like, well, we're going to run a B tonight. Hopefully we draw better the next few days. And I ended up moving my way through the heat race and ended up actually winning the heat race. And it put me starting fifth in the feature. So then I don't think I've ever been to a place where I've been so nervous or just so like uneasy about getting on a racetrack. It's just because you know all the competition around you, you know they're going to race hard, you know you can't make no mistakes. And I started fifth that night, and we went the first lap, and going to the flag stand, I was in the lead. And like I said, it just falls in your favor the way everything worked out. And that was one of my probably favorite moments ever racing so far.
September 5th, 2022 is the date. And I was actually, before we got on the air, I was pulling stuff up. You had Matthew Loft, who's won that deal several times, five-time national champion, finished fifth. Logan Anderson, who has just been phenomenal this season, won the Sport Mod Nationals at Hancock County Speedway, right, in Britt, Iowa. And then Jake Sacco, who just dominated. I think he won every single race he was in the Sport Mods last year, finished 10th. There was 172 cars that night in just your division. And then current national point leader Cam Reimers finished 11th. I mean, that's some heck yeah badge that you got to wear.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we watch the Midwest races all year long, and you kind of get that idea. You watch them, these guys are so good, and you're like, when you go there, you're like, man, can we even compete with them? But then you get out there and you just realize, you know, these guys are just another human being and can make mistakes and not always on their A game. And we were really good that night. My car was really good. It was a brand new race chassis, and it was, I think, one of the first, maybe second or third nights out on it, and it was super fast and perfect for the racetrack that we were on, and I was able to get it done. And I was really surprised. Like, I was just waiting for that white flag to come out, then the checkered flag. I was just watching and waiting. And that night, the last traffic was really bad, so I was starting to, you know, pucker up a little bit, get a little nervous.
Isn't it amazing, like, when we go to the Midwest and stuff, and this isn't talking about any other region, how it just seems like there's just, it's like religion almost, especially Iowa, right? But then it just amazes me with how the shows are ran. Like, there's no nonsense yellows, and if you bring out a nonsense yellow, they're black flagging you, and you're done for that race, or you're done for the night. It's like, let's go. I mean, you've been there for Winter Nationals too. There's a spin in turn 4, and it's not a yellow as everyone's going in turn 1. It's like, we're giving you like 3/4 to half a lap to try and fire it up. But if you're unable to keep going, like, you're done, get off the racetrack. You know, you're eliminated.
Yeah, like those Midwest, those shows out there, they're on it. You spin and cause yellow, you're done. You're in a B. Like, you don't get a second chance. Either keep it going or you're done. So, and they're on it all night. Them guys at Boone Speedway, they do a hell of a job getting people lined up. I mean, it's crazy. They only do 3 heat races at a time when there's, I don't even know how many heat races a night, a ridiculous amount. And they do it no problem, or there's no traffic, and they run that show really smoothly, and it always turns out to be a great show.
No doubt. Absolutely. And that's just for their weekly program too. It's definitely not a diss at anybody, but it's also just some recognition of, like, how just one particular, and there's several tracks that stand out in their own certain ways, and that's just what we want to point out there. Yeah, no, simply. And you got to spend some time in a stock car too at one point in time, right?
Yeah, we did the IMCA stock car for a little bit, and we did all right. It wasn't the nicest car in the world, but we were able to make some good finishes out of it. And my first year of the Modified, we decided to sell it away and focus on what I had coming for that year. Like I said, we won the state, and we were focusing on the Modified quite a bit. So we ended up selling it away, and it also helped with some expenses too.
Well, and talk about that. What was that decision like to transition from the sport mods to the modifieds? Like, what went into that and made your guys' mind up to go in that direction? And then how hard of an adjustment was it for you to go from that class to the one you're in now?
And we kind of feel like the sport mod, like it's in the end, a sport mod is supposed to be a beginner class. I mean, it's got farther out than it should have been. So, I mean, the guys around us, like my grandpa and my uncle, everyone encouraged us to move up and just start a new challenge. And I mean, I really enjoyed it so far. I mean, the sport mod competition, don't get me wrong, it's outrageous right now. But the modified competition, it's just something different. I mean, when Antioch Speedway, I'm running against Kellen Chadwick every week. I'm running against Bobby Hogue. I'm running against Troy Bolger. And you might even get some other good guys rolling in. You never know. I mean, you get Nick DiCarlo every once in a while. Nick DiCarlo shows up, and I'm pretty sure all those guys are track champions at Antioch Speedway, and they're there weekly.
Yeah, it's a tough place to win at, and it's fun to the occasions when they're on IMCA TV. I love watching Antioch Speedway because it's like home, because your grandfather basically there was nowhere for a guy like me to announce, and just out of the blue he invited me, and I got to tag team with Wiley Wade there for a good part of the year. And super special, super grateful, and definitely something I'm not going to ever forget.
Yeah, Antioch's quite the unique place for sure. I mean, to me, honestly, it's one of the hardest places to get my race car around. I mean, it's a really tricky racetrack. The turns are different in each corner. Sometimes you get muddy rough. Sometimes you get slick dusty. You never know what you're going to get. And it just always turns out usually to be a pretty good race.
Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Cocopah Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Drivers Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of the replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, talking about numbers, 15P. I know your dad ran that, and there's no doubt that that kind of went in with you choosing that number. But do you know the story behind that number? Has he ever told you why he selected 15P?
Honestly, I really don't know the story behind it. I've never asked. I've never asked about it. I just kept it going, and that's what he always ran, was 15. And so I just kept it going, and that was it. I always liked the number, and it just looks good on my race car. I feel like it fits me well.
Well, your uncle told me he chose 83 because he was a Roth Motorsports fan, so maybe your dad was a big Donnie Schatz fan or Steve Francis or something.
He does like Donnie Schatz. I know that.
Okay, hey, we may be on to something here. All right,
yeah.
All right. I know that, you spend a lot of time around race cars, working on them, obviously traveling to races and racing them. But in your spare time, what are some things you like to do? Because I'm sure there's some moments you try and just be a normal kid, right? Have a life outside of racing.
Yeah, most of the time if we're not racing, we're spending time with family. We're just hanging out and going places. And try to go do other things to get the mind off racing. Just go and travel to lately I've been going Lake Tahoe and just some different places to just get your mind off of it, and it you can get, really frustrated with racing sometimes. Like, you can have a couple bad weeks in a row and you don't even want to do it anymore. Then you have a couple good weeks in a row and you're like all about it. So it's always good to get the mind off of it, and no matter what, I'll always enjoy it. So, yeah.
For sure. I mean, especially from right about now, this time of the year, till Super Nationals time, that's where the grind really starts. The weather's hot, and if things are in a downward trend, it's easy to just kind of get in a negative headspace.
Yeah, these next few months, I'm racing quite literally every weekend. This weekend, we're going up for 3 days, Wairika, Southern Oregon. And then in a few weeks, we leave for North Dakota. We're going to go up there and do the Dakota Classic Tour. And that's a week-long tour. So that should be a lot of fun. I've never been. And all those tracks up there are different from what I'm used to and should be a pretty good learning experience.
And then the plan is you guys are going to go back to Boone this year?
You never know. We were kind of just leaning towards more doing the North Dakota tour due to expenses. I mean, it's a lot to go do, 20 or so hours to North Dakota, then come back and then do another 20 or so hours to Iowa. Expenses are up right now, and
Sure.
If we get to a point where we're able to do it, then we probably most definitely will. But for now, our main focus is going to be that Dakota Classic Tour.
Okay. Sounds cool. I mean, I've been watching a lot of the racing on IMCA TV. They just finished up the Tougher Than Dirt Tour for hobby stocks and sport mods. And yeah, like you said, some unique places, big places too. I mean, there's some big tracks in California, like Kings and I would say that compares to some of the places they have up there, but I think wider than Kings though, some of those places.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we like to make it up to Boone. I know we just qualified for the All-Star race with our win the last few weekends ago. But like I said, we'll see based on expenses if we can make it or not.
Well, let's talk about that win. Your only win so far this year. You guys have had some great runs so far. Southern Oregon Speedway, the R. Charles Snyder Salute, the final night, $5,000 payday at the end of the night?
$3,000.
So a good payday for you guys. The $5,000 one, that's the one coming up in Wairika. But the way that race ran, for you just handled yourself brilliantly while two guys were battling for the top spot. It was just seizing the moment, seizing the win.
Yeah, Travis and Nick Trenchard, they were going at it quite a bit. And I was able to just sneak under them and seal it away and never look back. And it was our first win of the year, but that was the one I would have been most excited for, the way it paid out. I mean, we've had some really good runs this year. We've been really close to multiple wins. I'm pretty sure we ran in the top 5 for like 8 straight races, just only was able to get that one win up there, but I'll take it for sure. It was our biggest payday yet. So, we really enjoyed going up there for that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I always like to ask this question for drivers, like where they're from. I know we've had some guests from the Antioch, Oakley area quite a bit on this program, but for you, maybe some people that are younger in the years, like what are things that you would like to point out to people that, hey, you should go check this out, or there's a really cool place in my area that you can check. Obviously, Oakland and the city of San Francisco, those are nearby, but like that East Bay Delta region of California, what are some places that you would recommend for people to visit that have never been to that area?
A couple places, like we have like Discovery Bay around here is really nice. It's more, I'd say more kind of north than where we were at. That it gets nicer and nicer. Mm-hmm. The more you go towards Oakland and San Francisco, it's honestly not the nicest of places.
Sure.
But, there's definitely some good places you can go to for sure around here. Like I said, I think it'd be more a little bit north than where we're at, but there's definitely, it's California. I mean, you're always going to find somewhere nice in California.
Sure. Big state. Seems like stuff with boats in that neck of the woods is pretty popular, whether Disco Bay or even the Delta or the bay itself.
Yeah, no, the Discovery Bay is nicer water, but people like to go out on the Dirty D and have a lot of fun out there. There's quite a bit of boating, and they do skis, they do everything on water you can imagine out there. So
sure,
yeah.
The
The water area for sure.
The Dirty D. I've never heard that term before. I think I might use that now. So
that's what they call it around here. They call it the Dirty D.
Okay. Well, I started calling Antioch the Yawk, and Joe Peterson told me, hey, like that's that's kind of a term you don't want to use to every person in Antioch. So okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's how you learn though, right? So
yeah, for sure.
So talking about the Dakota Mod Tour, talking about possibly going to Boone, do you guys have any sort of apparel sales or where people can purchase some merchandise to possibly help you guys out financially to maybe make all those things a reality this year? Is there like a good team page, or just message you or your dad directly?
We have a racing page on Facebook. We also have a racing page on Instagram, or you could always come to us directly. I mean, we're always willing to ship out or come to the racetrack, and we have a bunch of apparel left, so we have plenty of apparel if anybody ever needs it.
Okay, and is it from last year, or are you guys trying to get maybe a new run going soon for this year?
We have actually new apparel this year with my card now on it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Well, it's bulletproof tees. He does a great job on our stuff, and they're actually I really liked how they turned out this year.
Sure. Awesome. So, and obviously you guys try and do the best you can on those pages to kind of update people of plans, whether they, something happens, there's a rain out, we're not going to be there, or there's a rain.
Yeah, we're constantly updating those pages every night that we're racing and letting everybody know what's going on. And like you said, we're always constantly updating them pages.
That's wonderful. That's great. That's important, I think. People that you want to thank. I know your family's a big part, and feel free to name them again or name them individually that you didn't, as well as your sponsors and supporters that have made all of this possible for your young racing career.
Dad and there's no way I would have ever been able to do any of this without him. He's the rock to our racing program. I'm just the driver. He does it all. He does the setup. He makes the money moves. He does the most for my program for sure. Mom and the rest of the family. And then the sponsor, Rage Chassis, has done a ton for my racing career. He helps me out quite a bit, Justin, with Rage. I've wrecked a few race cars in my beginning years, and he's always been willing to help out and get us back on the racetrack. So he's always been a big help. Drew Jansen, lately, this past 2 years, he's been helping out with setup and making my race car go faster on the racetrack. So we can't thank him enough as well. And then there's some of my sponsors on the car, like S&D Motorsports, and let's see who we have here. F&D, Performance Bodies helped out a lot. Monumental Insurance. Trying to think, drawing a blank here. There's quite a few more that should be thanked. Pacific Coast has been a big help this year too. My last 2-3 years, Pacific Coast has been on it. Paul Guglielmoni with Backer Valley. He's always helping out. That's where I work at. I work for Paul, and he's always been a big help to me. Does a lot for my racing team. And, ASI, Kenny New, he's done a lot for my early racing career. Double D Towing, Stites Towing, Rick and Farron Stites, or Farron Stites, Diaz, and Rick Diaz. They've done quite a bit for my racing career as well. And there's all kinds of people, some new ones. There's, let's see who else we got here. Bobby Hogue, he's done a lot for my early racing career as well. just in general with like, you know, racing tips and stuff. And he's done some shock stuff for me in the past, and always willing to help out when we need him to. And we can just go on and on. There's a bunch of people that's always helping out with my career and keeping us going. So we definitely can't thank all them people enough.
Well, awesome. Well, Andrew, I really appreciate you taking the time of your busy schedule to talk racing and talk about the exciting things in the works. I can't wait to bump into you guys a couple of times this year, I'm sure, and have a chat by the car. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck for 2024.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully we'll catch you sometime soon, maybe this weekend. And I appreciate you bringing me on here.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions. Before we let everybody go, here's the upcoming schedule on IMCA TV of live pay-per-view events. Friday, June 14th will feature Iowa's Davenport Speedway, Dakota Speedway in Mandan, North Dakota, Beatrice Speedway in Nebraska, Slayton, Minnesota's Murray County Speedway, Black Hills Speedway in Rapid City, South Dakota, Dusa Club's Thunder Raceway in Sholo, Arizona, and California's Wairika Speedway. A full helping of racing action will be on tap for June 15th, Saturday night, with Crystal Motor Speedway in Michigan, Iowa's tracks at Makokata Speedway and Boone Speedway, Eagle Raceway in Nebraska, Southern Oklahoma Speedway in Ardmore, Electric City Speedway in Great Falls, Montana, Cottage Grove Speedway in Oregon, couple of races in California, Bakersfield Speedway, Wairika Speedway, and Marysville Raceway. Also on Saturday, Dusa Club's Thunder Raceway in Sholo, Arizona. The lineup for Sunday, June 16th, Interstate Speedway in Jefferson, South Dakota, Dubuque Fairgrounds Speedway in Iowa, Benton County Speedway in Benton, Iowa, Buffalo River Speedway in Glendon, Minnesota, Minot, North Dakota's Nodak Speedway, and Southern Oregon Speedway in White City, Oregon. Monday, June 17th will feature Coos Bay Speedway in Coos Bay, Oregon, and Tuesday night, the Douglas County Dirt Track in Roseburg, Oregon.